with a whisper, and that was when I kissed her, and then she made my lips hurt. I could hear the chit-chat, tape it to your love shack. Mama's always got a backtrack when everybody talks back.
But just a little, I love to poke fun at ESPN. I love them, and I poke fun at the same time. When I was scrolling through their site last night, literally, I saw a picture or an article about a horse before there was anything about a female athlete. Oh, come on, ESPN. Come on. I know the Kentucky Derby is coming up, but listen, ESPnW is hopping with stories. And I wrote in my column this past week, what did I call it? I called it, there's a lot out there, a lot that you can learn about all of this. There is so much information out there.
It's kind of absurd even to think that there needs to be an ESPnW. Like, you don't have like a New York Times W or like a, whatever, Washington Post W. Like, why don't they just put it all in one place?
So, Sophie, I love that you bring this up, because that is a discourse that I've been trying to reconcile and think about for the past, 2 years, really. Because ESPNW's coverage of women's sports and social issues in sports, I'd say it's pretty close to the best that there is, but they don't do the best job of cross-promoting with ESPN, or at least ESPN doesn't execute as well as they could.
I dream of a world where we don't even need an ESPN and an ESPNW.
Yeah. You are right. You are absolutely right. And transitioning into that, so again, we're going to have the Women's College Softball World Series broadcasted on ESPN, the full tournament, which is great. And so there's a new podcast that ESPN has produced, and it's called 7 Innings. And so it's a weekly softball podcast that chronicles the road to the College World Series. And so you've got a bunch of female ESPN personalities on there talking about college softball. So you have, Jessica Mendoza, Beth Mowens, Hallie Rowe, Amanda Scarborough, and Michelle Smith, all talking about the stories of the week when it comes to women's college softball. So that's even a step in the right direction. And I'm glad that ESPN is sponsoring these things. But again, the next step is, okay, got a lot of ESPNW articles about college softball. We've got a podcast. Let's take some of that analysis. Let's take some of those highlights. Let's really put them on television, It's interesting because there's now a ESPNW top 10 plays, where it's just top 10 plays of all women's sports. And ESPN has taken this approach to really separate the two, because in the I guess, non-W'd top 10 plays, you'd maybe see 1 or 2 at most plays from female athletes. So this is a tough conversation, because I love it that women are getting the spotlight. But I think, Sophie, you have a good point where it's like, why can't we just have parity here?
Sort of separate but equal right now.
Yes.
But baby steps, it's in the right direction.
Agreed. Absolutely.